We all have cringy, embarrassing moments in our lives, right? Like calling a teacher mom, trying to look cool in front of a crush, and shitting your pants in class, and going through an edgy phase where trying to be that anime character. We all have these kinds of cringy moments growing up. And every time we look back on those moments, we cringe so hard to the point where we want the ground to split open and swallow us whole, right? And I think about these moments is that no matter how much time passes, they never go away, right? They are registered in our brains forever. Like no matter how much we try to forget them, they never disappear, right? They pop into our heads and make us cringe. And we spiral into self-loathing. Like, why did I do that? Why did I say that in the moment? God, I'm an idiot. Please, someone, kill me. It's so cringy. But recently, I discovered that the best way to cope with these moments, the best way to take away their power is to talk about them in public instead of, burying them in our minds. It makes you really, makes it feel great. If you talk about it, it starts to lose its power over you, because you can get some kind of closure by sharing it in public or with your friends and you can move on. So I would like to take this opportunity to talk about one of my cringiest moments of my life. Okay, so bear with me. So this happened when I was 7 in 2002 in the second grade in elementary school. I was on my way back home from school. It was a beautiful day. There was no cloud in the sky. I vividly remember the blue in the sky. It was a beautiful day. And on my way, on my school route, there was this gravel parking lot. And even though I had passed it so many times, I had never walked into it. But that day, something was different. I felt something was calling me. I felt this gravitational pull from that direction. So I walked into it. And at the end, there was a poem magazine, wet, torn, and crumbly, but still readable. And this is my first exposure to porn, obviously. And I was electrocuted. I was hit by lightning. I was like, holy shit, I found the One Piece, Even though I had no knowledge of sex or anything, I instinctively found it extremely valuable. I thought it was the One Piece. I found it faster than Luffy. And I became ecstatic. Adrenaline was rushing through my body and I got so excited. And immediately I checked my surroundings to make sure there was no one behind me. And I slowly flipped through the pages with my eyes wide open. I was taking all things in. I was admiring all these naked women in the picture, like boobs, genitals, and everything. It was insane. I think even to this day, this is one of my most exciting moments of my life. It was really, you know, electric, right? Yeah, and after I finished reading the magazine, I decided to bring it home because why not, right? It's human nature to keep valuable things. And I took it home and I stashed it under a trash bin in the yard, right? I thought it was the best place to hide my treasure, and I was sure that nobody was going to find it. And in the next morning, when I walked outside to go to school, I found my mother and brothers were around that trash bin. I thought I was exposed, and my mother was asking my brothers if they hid that magazine, right? And they were denying it, obviously, because it was me who did it, right? And she found me and asked me the same question. Koji, did you hide this magazine? And I said, no. I mean, I emphatically denied it. I was like, no, there's no way I did it. Because, yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do such things. I wouldn't read this kind of dirty magazine. I was just panicking, right? And that gave myself away. And she knew it was me. When it comes to lying, the more you try to deny it, the more obvious it becomes. That's you, right? So she knew it was me. And she took me inside and gave me a lecture. Koji, you shouldn't read this kind of dirty magazine. You are a child, blah, blah, blah. And it was so mortifying, because imagine you're 7 and your mother just discovered you hid a dirty magazine, porn magazine, right? you know. And I think the stakes were higher when it comes to porn back in the day, because now you can access porn on the internet like easily, right? Back in the day, there was no internet. There was internet, but it wasn't as accessible and available, right? So, the stakes were much higher before. And that's why it became registered as one of my most embarrassing moments of my life. And even though it's been 24 years since the incident, it still crosses my mind once in a while and bothers me, It makes me cringe and makes me think like, why did I do that? I should have stashed it somewhere else or something like that. And it makes me really cringe, but it feels great now. I talked about it and I feel less burdened. And the thing about cringy moments is that as much as we suffer over them, they are formative experiences of us, right? They shaped who we are right now. And it's no exaggeration to say we're built on cringiness, cringy moments, right? Because they led us to maturity and growth. Because we made these embarrassing mistakes growing up, we won't make such mistakes as adults, right? So they're formative experiences, and I think these moments give a big window into your psychology, like who you are. So if you have close friends or anyone special, you should ask them about their cringy moments, embarrassing moments. They give a glimpse into who they are and their childhood. It's really great. Also, these moments are true vulnerability of us, right? So sharing them is it helps you have connection with those people. So there's a lot of benefits in talking about these moments, and yeah, it makes you feel great and it makes you interesting and relatable as a person. So yes, my point is, okay, the point I'm trying to make in this video is that we shouldn't hide these moments. We shouldn't take your embarrassing moments to your grave. We should embrace them and talk about them in public. And like I said, it gives you some kind of closure and you can move on. If you talk about it in public, it won't bother you as much, I guess, because it's a sign that you overcame it and moved on. So you should talk about them more often. Yeah, that's my advice. So that's pretty much it today. So if you like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.